I want to thank you all for coming to join us for the Fountain of Youth How to Live Forever event presented by St. Paul's Free University. I am David M. Masters, lead coach and trainer for St. Paul's, and founding member Daniel Mark Schwartz and I will be hosting the event. And let me tell you, we have got a lineup of professionals like you've never seen before. In this live stream, we're going to give you the keys to unlock a longer, more meaningful life. And this is a certificated course event, so you will be told how to receive your certificate and continuing education units following the program. And we live in exciting times if you know where to look. Right, Daniel?
That's right, Dave. Never before has there been so much varied and powerful information collected in one spot. And never before has there been a certificate available like this anywhere else on the internet. So make sure you watch all the way through so you can collect yours at the end.
Thank you for that, Daniel. And keep in mind that we are not talking about old age. We're talking about anti-aging and reversing the hands of time. We're talking about your ability to take your youthful life back from a society and system which has robbed you of your quality years of advanced age. I hope that you'll start to grow younger like my students, clients, and friends who are playing tennis, riding dirt bikes, hiking, hunting, fishing, youthfully into their 90s and beyond. And we really want to get into the goods here, so we don't want to hold you up anymore. So get ready to take notes. Our first speaker today is a retired State of Oregon mental health counselor who knows her subject matter better than anyone I know. She's a curandero healer, author of Traumatize, and founder of the Luna Institute of Curanderos. Today, sharing with you on the topic of freedom from trauma for a new life is Rosa M. Luna.
Hello, my name is Rosa M. Luna, and I'm a curandera healer and the author of Traumatize, a book about dealing with and healing from tragic life traumas. And I'm here today to talk to you about how trauma can rob you of your youth like a thief in the night. When you at least expect it, you look in the mirror and see someone you do not recognize. What happened? Many of us, I would say about 85% of people, will or have suffered a traumatic event in their lifetime. Something of these events will create significant pain and suffering, especially if there's a near miss of life lost. Because trauma changes so many cells, it causes hormonal changes, nerve damage, weakness in the immune system, causes premature aging, and can lead to an early grave. Well, take 20 years off of your age and add another 20 years to your life just by doing this one thing, dealing with your repressed trauma. Fortunately, your neuron cells can be rewired and affect your mind, your way of feeling safe in this world, your way of thinking and solving problems. I could go on and on about ways trauma damages and changes your life. Unresolved trauma can affect the choices you make, what kind of boyfriend or what kind of girlfriend you pick, neglecting your kids, losing your job, making you feel extremely angry and very violent. If you are aware of what that, you can say, wait, that's not me. What's going on with me? Not all of us are aware of what we're doing. I too have suffered from trauma throughout my life and made bad decisions and even made some bad choices unconsciously without realizing it until I verified my actions with a witness that I trusted. I couldn't believe that person was me. Post-traumatic growth can be transformative and lead to living a longer, more healthy, happy life. Many people I have interviewed for my upcoming book, Traumatize, told me that despite the physical pain and daily struggles that they have faced, some said that their lives were actually better today than before the traumatic experiences. They make themselves focus more on themselves, what surrounds them. They pay more attention on people who aren't doing well. They don't feel like they want to they feel like they even want to help them, which before they didn't. They want to get involved. So to move from the process of trauma growth, we should first educate ourselves and learn about trauma effects. The American Psychological Association provided a definition of trauma, and they said, an emotional response of someone against a special negative instance, such as injury by accident, violent attacks, bullying, domestic violence, childhood neglect, and many negative actions that leaves a mark on your emotional status and mental stability. Some symptoms of trauma are post-traumatic stress disorder, PSTD, guilt, anxiety, hypervigilance, fear, irritability, behavioral issues, flashbacks, excessive anger, violence, panic attacks, loneliness, depression. All this can lead one open towards traumatic diseases and suicidal ideations. Repressed trauma will find its way out, believe me. It will express itself in diseases such as diabetics, stomach problems, cardiovascular diseases, cancer, or in severe psychological disorders requiring mental health services. This is serious business. If you're going or pushing down your trauma from past, you are sick and tired and your life is a mess. There are too many diseases to name them out because we have not dwelt with our unresolved traumatic event. We will have to deal with what happened to us or make amends to it. Make yourself okay with it. If you cannot heal from it, get some professional help. Find a group support. I know you will prefer to stay at home, thinking you're safe, you're depressed, and you're feeling alone. Shake that dust off you, and that's you've been collecting on yourself. Get your butt to the support group. I guarantee you, you will later be glad that you did. And your life expectancy will increase dramatically. To take your life back and live healthier and longer, you have to be in the right frame of mind. To learn anything, let's try the next steps. Negative emotions. Start by managing negative emotions, such as anxiety, anger, guilt. Let's start by shifting that kind of thinking that takes you to those feelings. Think of your successes instead. You've been able to keep a roof over your head, food on the table, the important things that have been able to be provided by you, despite your pain and suffering. You're not on serious drugs. You've been able to keep a job, like it or not. And now let's talk about the negative thoughts. Traumatic events can agitate us to the core, leaving us in shambles, both mentally and physically. But stop thinking negatively. Grow where you are planted. Psychologists are also finding that traumatic actions can change us into more robust, better individuals. The name is given to this global phenomena is post-traumatic post-growth. So grow. Grow where you are, however you can. Self-care. Take one day at a time. Take care of yourself. Shower. Eat a healthy meal. Eat a healthy snack. Dance to your favorite music. Walk. Run. In other words, exercise. And get this negative energy out of your system. Social care. Go outside. Visit your positive friends. Stay away from friends that have a negative lifestyle. Don't judge them. Just stay away from bad influences. Drinking and drugs are not the answer. Look inside yourself and find out what your body is trying to tell you. Self-expansion. I know this may sound silly, but meditate, pray, do yoga, try talking to a professional, a therapist, someone you trust. Did I already say go to a support group? You just might find more people going through what you're going through. You might find new friends too. They know what you are going through. You are not alone. Your story. In the next step, you produce a narrative story about your story and about the trauma and reflection of afterwards. To accept the chapters already written, and imagine crafting the new next ones in a meaningful way, giving you a different and positive feeling about your traumatic story. And the stories you're helping can and should be about traumatic past that leads to a better and brighter future for you and those who are listening. So, go pro! Find work that benefits others and helps or benefits you, and especially other people. There is a broader community of victims with events similar to the ones you're enduring. So help others who are in trouble and face difficulty in overcoming trauma symptoms. This can give you a sense of growth and a peaceful life. Take your time. Be patient with this process. Those who are practicing in this field know that it's timing. The timing is very important. Growth is a long procedure, a process, and guess what? It takes time. How about the community? However you and your friends are ready, it is worth the effort. Let's promise to do what is best for ourselves and learn from the crisis and do something productive that may help others. This will be a new norm, a new normal. Being in an active life, going back to what made you happy in the first place, is the last step. Think about how you have been able to dig someone out of their self-pity. We cannot do it alone. We are not alone. There are millions like us, also suffering from trauma. Not all of us are doing this alone. For example, Janetta McSwain, who suffered childhood trauma at the age of 4. She wrote a book about her trauma and went on to school and get her PhD. She wrote a statement that I would like to quote. It's beautiful to me. Becoming aware, self-aware, that we are women of strength who stand for survival, empowerment, motherhood, leadership, love, nurturing, beauty, respect, and courage to overcome anything. So these are very encouraging words to all of us, and we can remember them, we can apply them to ourselves and to our lives. Let's do a little process together, you and me, and join me by taking 3 deep breaths. Ready? Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. When I say my name, I want you to replace it with your name. Follow along and repeat after me. I, your name, and mine, Rosa M. Luna, see and draw to me through the divine light and the angels, my spirit guides and my God source, and all who seek enlightenment through my process, to reactivate all this in me now. To start feeling good now. I, Rosa M. Luna, hold the key to achievement of any state of being, any state of health, any state of wealth, any state of anything. I, Rosa M. Luna, want and desire to focus on me. I, Rosa M. Luna, desire that right now. Reactivate my self-healing power for my extension of life. Now, I, Rosa M. Luna, am a constant gatherer of experience and knowledge. My life is not about just that. It is about fulfillment and satisfaction, and one of joy. My life is a continuing expression of love. I, Rosa M. Luna, truly am a creator of my own experience. I, Rosa M. Luna, will learn to understand my vibrational emotional guidance system. Then my natural joyful zest for life will youthfully return. I, Rosa M. Luna, love myself. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Okay, we're done. Congratulations. You're on your path to your new life. Dealing with the underlying issues of trauma from your past life gives you freedom. Freedom from trauma, which binds you and prevents you from having a full life. Now you can have an exciting new life, free from threat of diseases, which are caused by not dealing with your trauma issues. You will achieve a state of healthful wellness, and you will look and feel younger just by dealing with your past trauma, like me. I have seen life at its worst, and I thought it would be the death of me. But now I have a new release on life, and I'm living the life of my dreams. Believe me, when I say I know what you're going through, you're not alone. If I can do it, you can do it. My name is Rosa M. Luna, and thank you for listening, and you can find me at rosamluna.com. Many blessings to you.
Thank you, Rosa M. Luna, for those inspiring words about how releasing repressed trauma can set us free from the aging process. Next up is the visionary of St. Paul's Free University, who is a transfiguration specialist, immortality life extension masterclass instructor, and here on behalf of New You DNA, David M. Masters will be sharing about his experiences in a 7-year DNA research project as he shares with us how to reprogram your DNA for long life. Here's David M. Masters.
Hello, I'm Transfiguration Specialist David M. Masters, lead coach and trainer at St. Paul's Free University, and today I'm going to give you 3 self-engineering DNA secrets that I will reveal to you that will increase your longevity and vitality. Now, before we get into it, if you don't already know, only 1% of your DNA is hard-coded, and you can actually change your DNA. You can by how you live your life and through a diet and exercise. What? I can change my own DNA? Yes, you can. This is far from the idea that we're all victims of our DNA. We are not really allowed to live an authentic life on our own because our parents cursed us with their DNA. So we're limited to the kind of life we inherited from those who gave birth to us, and little more. Already in 2020, and easily attributable to the COVID-19 pandemic, our DNA is changing due to less traffic on the highways and the increase of telecommuting and working from home. It's affecting our DNA. Will it change forever or revert to its original state as it existed prior to the coronavirus? This remains to be seen. But you're not far from proactively changing your DNA from here on out to live the longest life possible. Personally, increasing your life expectancy is not for everyone. Most people are just tired and look to death as a welcomed reprieve from stress and strain that comes from daily life that can be an ongoing struggle for survival. But for a growing segment of our population, daily life is cherished. Each and every moment is an incredible blessing, and many of us have a life calling, a passionately empowered purpose which beckons us to prolong our existence, thereby increasing our efficacy in the world. If this is you, increasing your life expectancy is an important component of achieving your highest and best. I was part of a 7-year-long experiment group in human DNA alteration project through the introducing different substances into the diet of participants and charting the changes in DNA over time. We are changing our DNA all day long, and we can thank our parents for predetermining what we'll start off with in our own DNA, as well as their parents before them, and on, right back to our earliest origins. Every generation passes on a new set of genes, to start off with. Now, I don't have to tell you that the world we live in today has been tweaking our DNA every day for 100 years without our permission. Now, not only me, but many of us in the world are starting to take responsibility for our own DNA and the crap DNA we inherited from the last 4 to 5 generations. It's got to go. And we're taking back our genome. For most of us, we have not known about self-engineering our DNA early enough in our lives to benefit our children directly. But our children can start reprogramming their own DNA at any point in time, possibly earlier than we did, so that they can give the next generation its best start possible. I wish I knew then, when Mary and I were bringing our children into the world, what I know today. I would have liked to have taken a more proactive approach to downloading premium DNA strands made with love and the best intentions, which would have been passed on to future generations. But that wasn't anywhere on my radar back then in those days. So Mary and I bundled up our DNA, and this was our gift to our children. Knowing what I know now, we could have done better. But we didn't have this knowledge when we were passing on our genes to our offspring. So we, like the rest of us, were just doing the best we could with what we had at the time. In the 7 years I was a part of the DNA project, I learned a great deal that we could put in our bodies and how we live and how it changes our DNA and what we pass on to our children. In the meantime, we can start reprogramming our DNA for maximizing each and every day for the rest of our lives, and the possibilities for changing your DNA for increasing your longevity and vitality are vast and nearly endless. What? Your dad died of an aneurysm at age 54 and your mom died of a heart failure at 72? You think that determines your lifespan? Trauma and its effects on the body can visit future generations via the DNA. So you've inherited multi-generational trauma from your biological parents and so much more. You might have been able to blame your parents before today, but from this day forward, no more. You can control your genetic predisposition to allergies, addictive behavior, or depression, and maladies such as obesity, diabetes, failing gut health, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, and cancer, just to name a few. Prepare to let go of all that DNA and psychological programming right now, because you are taking back your life, right down to the DNA, today, right now. Reprogramming your DNA. From this point forward, your life will never be the same. You could pretend that you did not have this information, but once you have had access to it, you can never make it go away. You can deny it, pretend you never had access to it, but the future, your future, and the future of generations is now in your hands, because now you know that even if you do nothing, you are programming your DNA. For by default, if you do nothing to reprogram it, then the world around you will continue to do all the programming for you. Now you can start to initiate and run psychological and physiological routines that run in the background that will do the heavy lifting of programming your DNA for you. Together, you and I can start reprogramming our DNA for greater health, including resistance to disease, which may have plagued our parents or our ancestors. If you choose to do so, you can join me and others as self-engineering DNA reprogrammers. Reprogramming your DNA does not happen overnight. It will take 7 years to reprogram the first pass through your entire DNA. The next 7 years reinforces and solidifies the changes you've made. So this is a 14-year commitment to make it through this process. I know. Everyone is like, what if I miss a day? It's like, there you go, already setting yourself up for failure. But know that missing a day is going to have little or no effect on your DNA. Even if you completely bail out of your DNA reprogramming project, you will still enjoy the benefits of going as far as you have. Of course, the changes you've made to your DNA while engaged in the process will fade over time as your DNA reverts to its prior state. But for more permanent results, you'll need to be prepared for this 14-year span for maximum and long-standing benefits. It's no secret that before you get started in the reprogramming of your DNA, that you will need the basic raw materials to do the work and be able to sustain the process over time. The minimal requirements for your body to do this work is to have all the vitamins, minerals, and proteins that your physiology needs to do this sacred work. It's also no secret that the food, which most of us have access to, does not have the proper nutrients to supply our bodies with the vitamins, minerals, and proteins that we need to get the job done. So, we're going to have to find ways to supplement to make up the difference and give us the edge that we need to start tweaking our DNA positively. I cannot tell you what to take or where to get it, but I know that we have resources and access to supplements in this day and age that we haven't had access to since the days when our ancestors lived off the land. And it is much easier to get a hold of today than back then. So it's up to you to figure out what sources and proportions of vitamins, minerals, and proteins that your body needs. And know this, your body, and your DNA will respond as you are blessed by the energies of all that is, because you are reclaiming your life in a way that is sacred and true to you. In my investigation about what to put in my body, I've decided to disregard what the FDA and the doctors tell me because, though I do take their input under advisement, so as not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but the buck stops here. I make my own decisions about what goes in my body. You have to decide what's right for you. God blesses you for what you do, and you can tweak the process as you go along. It only gets increasingly better. Now, secret number 1 is the stress response. When you are exposed to any stressful situation or environment, even a microscopic level, the body exercises its regeneration process, which empowers your physiology to grow and expand, to strive and survive and thrive longer. It's as if what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you say, well, wait a minute, Masters. You mean to tell me that I should intentionally put myself in stressful situations to extend my life? Well, as unglamorous as it sounds, this is part of the key to a longer, more meaningful, and incredible, fulfilling life. Though it's not just your exposure to potentially stressful or even life-threatening situations that increases your lifespan. No, it's the way you respond to those challenges that unlocks the vault, which holds all the energy, vitality, and long life you could possibly want. Your stress response is part of your DNA reprogramming that is changed by the way that you live. It's not enough just to meet your challenges head on. If you encounter something big and it initiates your fight or flight method of self-protection, you are headed down the default path of your DNA. To change your DNA, you need to change the way you respond to stressors from life circumstances, down to the smallest molecules that make up the various components of your biology. No doubt, fight or flight will buy you another day. This translates to what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but if you want to live longer, living out a completely different approach to any type of stress or crisis with honorable, loving kindness, this is what reprograms your DNA bit by bit. Instead of reacting to conflict defensively, respond with love and acceptance. Find ways to see life from a greater sense of perspective. See all things as sacred and divine, even conflict or scenarios that are undesirable. Approaching life with a firm sense of peaceful resolve, seeing the balance of the universe being held in perfect harmony, even its most minute and intimate details, this not only reprograms your DNA, but it is the path to immortality. Every time you practice this reverence for humanity and all life, you are reprogramming your life for a longer life. Now, secret number 2 is calorie restriction. You might be surprised to discover that calorie restriction is also a key to longevity, but it's true. And it's not that much different from the stress response. By restricting your calorie intake daily, you induce a bit of stress in your biological system, and it responds by calling on the other body's resources to survive. Over time, as your DNA is reprogrammed to genetically respond to your calorie restriction, your body grows even stronger and is equipped to live even longer. This reaction strengthens your immune system and reduces the otherwise normal deterioration of your biological system by harnessing the quality of your diet each day. You may have had some experience with counting calories and some fashion of diet control in the past. If you already have experience With that skill set, use it to your advantage now. As in all things, managing your diet is on you. It's up to you to decide what kind of caloric restrictions you will impose upon yourself. For me, I'm quite content by cutting what I previously considered my normal intake of food in half. Now, secret number 3 is meditation. Meditation is known to extend life, but also alters your DNA in a positive way. It is the type of process that can affect future generations, and it is growing in America today. There are many forms of meditation, and the practice is referred to in many ways. You might call it prayer, quiet, focused attention, introspection, reflection, deep thought, or no thought. It doesn't take long. Just a few minutes a day at the beginning and at the end of the day are enough to start your reprogramming of your DNA. I recommend and use the Sending Love to the World guided meditation because it not only aligns me and reprograms my DNA, but it also sends positive love energy to my family, friends, my community, and the state where I live, the whole country and abroad, to make the world a better place. You can find my Sending Love to the World meditation online or at sendinglovetotheworld.com. There are so many ways to enter into the meditative state. You must find the ones that resonate with you best. There you go. In just a few minutes together, we have learned 3 secrets to reprogram your DNA for, well, maybe not immortality, because that's a different subject and would take much longer to tackle. But these 3 secret techniques can increase the life you have led by 30%, just like that. This is my basic formula for living long life and being able to pass this work on to future generations, either informationally by spreading the word or genetically if you are fortunate enough to start early enough in life. So here's to you and your new extended life. You don't have to stop here. Keep going. Expand your knowledge base to extend your life even more. If you are interested, you might like to enroll in the Immortality Life Extension Masterclass at St. Paul's Free University or any other course of study that will help you continue this process, setting you free from the aging process that plagues your family and your peers. My name is David M. Masters. You can find out more about me at davidmmasters.com. Thank you for joining me today, and may God bless you as you continue your journey. As we continue to peel back the layers of the secrets of the Fountain of Youth and how to live forever, our next speaker has spent years in the transformational work and is retired from her work in contemplative psychotherapy and developmental psychology. Now, she continues to travel and serve individuals and the world at large as a life coach and consultant. Founder of the Empatharian Movement for Peace, Lolo Lesser, is here to share with us about using the power of embodiment to live optimally forever. Lolo Lesser.
Hello, my name is Lolo Lesser, and I am going to be introducing you to Empatharian Movement for Peace and using the power of embodiment as a fountain of youth. Embodiment, first of all, is something that we all do. When you embody an intention or a thought, people see it in your face, in your motion, in your posture, and in your gestures. Your whole person, your body, mind, and spirit are in alignment in a powerful way. So either your radiance or your luminosity emerges, and you are alight with the thought and the intention. You're kind of unstoppable with an energy that permeates everything you touch, everything you do, and you're renewed with the energy of that intention and thought as soon as you bring it in. The first law of thermodynamics: energy can be changed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or destroyed. The total amount of energy and matter in the universe remains constant, merely changing from one form to another. So how does embodiment work, you ask? Empatherian peace arts training involves a playful use of embodiment, cultivating individual intentions and individual thoughts to create actions, a sentence in gestures, something that one person or a group has worked out. And those actions become powerful vehicles for spiritual development as you align and express your individual energy. So, when people are over 60, they generally are needing to boost their energy. And I myself, I'm proud to say, I'm 69 years old. And I have been boosting my energy in this fountain of youth I've discovered. So, I have not lost my sense of energy or volition. But very often people, when they become older, they do need assistance and they don't have the energy to complete the normal rituals of daily living because the body's deteriorating. So we have to help the body to maintain its youthfulness. And why does the body deteriorate? Unhealthy ways of living can creep in, because the rest of society considers these ways of living normal. So at any age, we can boost our energy in some particular ways that are physical. Boosting your energy levels are more important really at every age, because even young people get exhausted, and they can all profit from doing empatherian peace arts practice. And there's so many other benefits besides physical. But first of all, what you're doing is strengthening the heart. Well, let's see, I think it says it on our next slide here. Oh, this slide is about the strengthening that we do through our bodies in so many ways that are mental as well as physical. We have reward chemicals that we generate from our own body chemistry, and oxytocin is one of our body chemistry chemicals that promotes the sense of love, this wonderful feeling that we have when we hug, give a compliment, or do empatherian. Serotonin is a marvelous mood stabilizer, and endorphins are painkillers. So with our own bodies, we can create so many wonderful feelings just doing empatherian. So, and this is what we were talking about, boosting our energy with strengthening the heart, building muscle, hydrating, reducing the stress in our lives. This is a major detraction on our energy. When we are stressed out, our energy disappears. So sometimes that means finding the courage to make a stand about the things in your life that are stressing you out and moving forward with that. And sometimes it means simply developing methods of dealing with the body's stress. So that would be a meditation and helping yourself to focus on the moment and also promote your own mental clarity about things. So consuming healthy foods is also major. Stimulating the mind, engaging in empatherian, a new hobby, and sleeping well. This is really important to having good energy. And empatherian teaches those relaxation techniques and breathing that helps create the good sound sleep that we all need, the sleep patterns, and deep sleep, wonderful dreams, and waking up refreshed and ready for a new day. So, when we strengthen the heart and build muscle, this is a very important thing. We are pumping machine known as the heart is a key player in your energy levels. You can help build your heart muscle with aerobic activity and that brings your breath and blood pumping throughout the body oxygen. It's great to do gentle, safe exercise with music and rhythm. And Epitherian movement meditation is a 10 to 20 minute practice daily that is a gentle and safe exercise. It stimulates all areas of the body. It includes mild aerobic activity and healthy stretches that extend and stimulate your circulation. So as we were saying, this reward chemical that is so wonderful feeling in our body we can do when we complete doing our Epitherian every day, dopamine. It gives you a good sense of accomplishment, celebrating all the little wins we can do, eating good food. These are the things that turn on the dopamine in your body. So, and then we have oxytocin, the love hormone we talked about, giving hugs, giving a compliment, and generating that love, doing Epitherian, turning on naturally. Serotonin, meditate, do a run, get some sun, walk in nature, swimming, talking, or doing Epitherian. And this generates for you energy and stable moods and gets rid of the stress that when your mood swings up and down, not good. It really is something that is a physical thing you can combat and be on the side of yourself with doing things to keep yourself healthy. Turn on naturally. And then we talked about the painkiller, endorphins. These are wonderful chemicals in our body that we can create with laughter, with certain essential oils, watching a comedy, eating dark chocolate. But you can only eat so much of dark chocolate. Exercise, then doing Epitherian. So this is something that can help minimize the body pains that we have, sometimes from arthritis, sometimes from other things, but the pains in our body, naturally, endorphins combat that. So, now, the particular set of movements that we do with beginning the Epitherian movement for peace is called the empath stretch. And these are the words to it. It has words. It's and actually they aren't necessarily in this order. In fact, I've changed the order, but we'll read it this way. Everyone, everywhere wins, making a stand for peace building. That's inspired, respectful energy, seeking heart connection, inner joy, and wisdom. So now we actually do this a little differently because I think it starts with making a stand for peace building. Everyone, everywhere wins. Inspired, respectful energy, seeking, and I think we're seeking inner joy and wisdom, and lastly, heart connection. So when we do this practice daily, we're improving our body, we're helping our mind, our spiritual self, our spirit and emotions are being helped, and socially we're interacting, and creatively. So it's a 6-dimensional exercise. Physical stretching, 14 movements that allow muscles to engage, spine to align and straighten. Mine has really grown in the last year that I've been doing this, and I have only been doing this practice regularly in the last year, even though I'm the founder and the creator of it. It was kind of in and out, and now in the last year, since I've been stuck at home, one of the things is I'm doing these things, and it makes a big difference for me in particular in every way. Heart and lung capacity expands, breathing regulates, circulation improves, arm and hand muscles develop, torso and back muscles flex and flatten. Yes, flattening that belly. That is really important to our health in the end. Simple, easy movement for all ages is what the empatherian is doing. Nothing extreme, no extreme technique is required. It's just simple, easy movement. And children as young as 5 can enjoy doing it, and people as old as 105 can enjoy doing it. The mental and intellectual stimulation. This is a really wonderful thing. Words in a sentence actually stimulate your awareness and thinking. So you can visualize the meaning and have the abstract thought brought to the forefront. And that actually helps brain development and intelligence, having abstract thoughts that you play around with in your mind. Your mental focus improves, and altogether there's a lot of mental decline in the elderly can be prevented with stimulating awareness and thinking, and doing empatherian, I feel, is a major, major thing that can help. So we also, many of us need an emotional expression outlet, feeling the meaning of the words and the sentence with longing and empathy. And we do this the first time as if you're someone else, really. When you do those motions, you're kind of doing someone else's words. But after a while, it becomes you embodying your own values and your own ideas about peacekeeping, your own heartfelt source feelings. And we do, in the meantime, need to pay attention to our reactions and our feelings and our doubts, so that we can really work out what emotions are coming up, because there's layers that we have. And in those layers, with opening them up, that's when the healing starts. And it only happens with emotional expression. So letting out your emotions and watching your reactions and allowing the feelings and the doubts. So creatively is a really important part of our human self. We need to creatively interact with our world. And always in an empatherian session, the last part is improvisational movement. So you get to improvise and do your own thing. And sometimes I'll make suggestions of what to do that is especially beneficial, and you may find that's what your body wants to do. You find your moves, and it's really fun. And socially, you connect daily with other empaths. Spiritually, you're expanding your luminosity and stretching your empathic understanding, embodying your deepest prayer and affirmation for peace, and helping align with your higher power, our higher power, your inner source. And these are the words that I mentioned: everyone, everywhere. And this, of course, is the key, that it's really for everyone, everywhere. This is a universal language of gestures. So when you see somebody doing it, you can kind of guess what they're saying. If I could speak and gather you, I would, and full of heart embrace you. I'm just reading words that are underneath the practice words that can inspire thinking for you and inspire feeling about what it is about. Winds, we have the strength, the courage to know that all is possible. Making a stand, I stretched out swaying, me a tree, my every branch breathed ecstasy, ecstasy. For peace building, I have some gifts to give in return for kindness and the love of me. You are the one seeking that love, the love for all people, the love for all people, the good and the bad. Inspired, the thought going out, which is typically you, is the dream from the good, from our poets and teachers, which sets us so free, we elate all the people. Respectful, for I be me at last, for they are they. Energy, and all our spirits gather mountains to raise and look, a look beyond. Yes, in their energy generating, that is what we are doing. Seeking, for truth is truth in different ways, a question that be softly told. So keeping our minds open, always seeking. And when we do this position, we're actually using our vision to seek and look at the horizon, which is also a really good exercise for the eyes. So we're exercising every part of us, as I said, and seeking is also about truth is truth in different ways, keeping our minds open. Heart connection, but let me touch your soul of understanding to move and tell you thus and thus. So we want to connect. Inner joy, great things are done by small people. And wisdom, most people are too busy with their own greatness. I'm offering you a little gift here, something free for having listened to me. A 20-day Empatharian Energizer. 21 days of Empatharian Energizer, where we would deliver for you, if you sign up at our website, a set of 1 hour per day sessions delivered to your email daily with a 15-minute daily video and a daily workbook that are pages that you can journal with, is the idea. And in there we'll be teaching you 5 breathing techniques to improve sleep, clarity, waking up refreshed and relaxed, stopping emotional reactivity. And we also teach 4 tapping techniques for self-massage, which is so important in this day when we're isolated, not able to be around all of our friends with our 3 hugs per day minimum. That used to be what we'd say, So now you've got to give yourself hugs. That's part of the self-massage. But there's whole body techniques that will help us to do so much generating energy as well. And exercises that are journaling your emotions and channeling abundance into your life. This is part of it. So I think that you're going to find this is a wonderful thing that goes way beyond the $47 value that we put to it, because you're getting techniques that alone are a $500 value, and then the exercises and the abundance that comes into your life is priceless. Anyway, I'm hoping that you're going to contact our website at empatharian.com. Empatharian is actually many things. It's a peace arts training as well as these empath stretch movement meditations, and it's a whole peace arts curriculum for age 5 to 105 that goes on and on in terms of you don't stop after 21 days. There's more things to do, and we are looking forward to your getting interested and involved. Give us 21 days, an hour a day, and you'll find it's really worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you, Lolo Lesser, for that enlightening and inspirational message. Just ahead, one of our own researchers who assisted the Beyond Science Lab and is an Olympian life coach and natural alternative specialist. She knows about tried and true medications that were used long before Big Pharma took over the medical industry, and balances ancient technology with groundbreaking alternative science that is emerging as we speak. Juanita Holliday is here today to tell us about reverse aging with Mother Nature.
Thank you for joining me today for Reverse Aging with Mother Nature. I am Juanita Holliday, a natural alternative specialist and trainer at St. Paul's Free University, and I work in the Beyond Science Lab, so I get access to data that might not otherwise be available today. I am going to share some valuable information with you and give you the keys to unlock Mother Nature's formula to live longer and become more youthful every day. Now you can go to your local supermarket, pick from a wide variety of products, and claim they make you look and feel younger. But what do you think is in those products, on those shelves? Do you know there are toxic chemicals in there? What good is it if it makes you look younger, but is slowly poisoning you and killing you in the process? Not bad if your goal in life is to live fast, die young, and leave a good-looking corpse behind. If I learned anything in this life, it is that God has provided a Mother Nature with a natural pharmacy of medicines we could possibly need. I totally respect the medical industry. We need doctors to help us overcome medical challenges like emergency care, life-saving surgeries. When necessary, everyday health maintenance should be left to Mother Nature. That goes along with living a longer, more youthful life. I have little respect for the companies that go out into nature, exploit the medicine, tear them down into their chemical components, and pick out elements they can recreate and patent, and profit wildly from their artificial creations. And if that wasn't enough, the government warns against seeking out natural alternatives. There is something totally wrong about this equation. Just so you know, it is your God-given right to decide what you put into your body. And you will be surprised that if you do God's way, it's very inexpensive. You live longer, healthier, from natural deteriorations that shorten life and disease. As you know, achieving results you can see instantly in your reflection is the best way to affirm your new commitment to living longer, more youthful life. So I will give you 2 gifts from Mother Nature that you can apply to your face and reverse the aging process on the face that you see in the mirror. You don't need a facelift, which many women want, or cosmetic surgery, which every man do. When you have natural alternative made available from nature's fountain of youth, the first one is papaya. Papayas are a native Hawaiian and are amazingly pre-programmed for anti-aging purposes, as they contain a youthful ingredient cocktail that includes vitamin C, keratin, and a bunch of essential minerals and special ingredients, which is the enzyme called papain. Papaya is a powerful dual-purpose facial exfoliant and deep moisturizer. Papaya is one of the best natural substances to apply to your face for more youthful appearance. When used on a regular basis, it also reduces and lightens away age spots which have shown up over in time. How do you use the papaya as a facial treatment? It is so easy. There's nothing to mix, no preparations to make. Just simply cut it, peel off a strip of the layer of the papaya, and wipe it over your face in a circular motion, like you might do when you're wiping your face with a cotton ball. That's all you have to do for the tropical treatment. The rest is done from within. So after you have treated your face, which looks awesome, with the exterior part of the papaya, Continue to treat the rest of your body by eating the papaya, which puts all those exciting skin revitalizing elements that also include valuable fiber, potassium, vitamin A into your body for distribution throughout. The second is avocado. You can choose between avocado, and you can choose between the papaya, or you can alternate between the two. Avocado is also a nutrient-rich gift that rocks as an anti-aging tool. Higher in potassium than bananas, the avocado is also an excellent source of bioavailable vitamins A, B, D, and vitamin E. The healthy fats in the avocado make an excellent skin moisturizer and conditioner. If you are looking for a more youthful appearance, avocado will reduce fine lines and wrinkles, and is also effective treatment for rosacea and psoriasis, and no extra charge. How do you use the avocado as a facial treatment? It is also a little bit more complicated than the papaya because you have to select the ripe avocado. Cut it in half and remove the pit. Then scoop out all the good fleshy fruit of it and then put it in a bowl, mash it up, and fork it with an avocado, and then you put it on your face. Facial treatment over your face like a mask, and let it sit for 10 minutes. It does the magic. Then wash it off using a cold wet cloth. And you are done. I just saved you maybe $65 to $100 from a beauty parlor, and you will be way more satisfied knowing that you are doing the right thing to your face. And your secret is a younger looking face. Well, you can keep that between your mother, nature, and you. You can increase your reverse aging process by paying attention to the foods that you eat. Putting the right ingredients in your body will distribute these powerful anti-aging nutrients found in natural foods. 5 anti-aging foods that are my top. 1 is papaya. You might recognize this powerful anti-aging fruit from your facial treatment. But remember, it is not just for your face. You also want to get all those anti-aging vitamins, minerals, and antitoxins into your body. Spread the reverse aging effects throughout your system, including your body's largest organ, the skin. Eating papaya is anti-inflammatory and adds natural elasticity to your skin. Also, the potassium and the magnesium are essential to youthful heart health. What's number 2? You guessed it, avocado. Avocado's natural anti-inflammatories jump into action to smooth and soften the skin throughout your body. The built-in sunblocker is attributed by increasing levels of carotenoids, which also protect you from exposure to toxins that might otherwise promote premature aging, and also may help to prevent skin cancer. Number 3 is the red bell pepper. The red bell peppers are a great way to spruce up almost any meal while filling your body with powerful anti-aging and antitoxins. They are also notably credited with promoting the natural production of collagen, which generally decreases with age, reversing your aging process and protecting yourself from unnatural toxins and pollutants that we are exposed to on a daily basis. Enjoy your red peppers as a snack. Dip them in hummus. Add them to just about any dish for color and a youthful variety. Blueberries. Oh my God, I love blueberries. Blueberries are the brain boosters and helpful brain function and improve memory. Your brain booster power comes by high concentrations of antioxidants, which help balance the number of free radicals in the body. Vitamin-rich blueberries promote the production of natural collagen, and protect you from exterior stress like pollution and toxins, while turning back the hands of time every time you enjoy those tasty sweetnesses of the blueberry. Pomegranates. Number 5. Pomegranates seeds are an ancient East medical fruit referred as the Chinese apple, with advanced healing qualities that are known to reverse the aging process. The active ingredient in pomegranate seeds preserves collagen and slows the aging effects of the skin while promoting you from environmental stresses. Everyone knows that I am a huge fan of herbals found in nature, empowering you with 5 reverse aging herbs that make sure that you write these down and find ways to add them to your diet. They are ginkgo biloba, ashwagandha, holy basil, turmeric, and ginseng. Ginkgo biloba shines as an anti-aging supplement as it helps the mind increase circulation and communication among neurons and cells. It prevents heart disease and increases the vision by targeting potential age-related muscular degeneration, also known as AMD. Ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is the Ayurvedic to-go solution for fighting off infections. It also used to counteract loss of energy or depression and will help to put that youthful smile on your face, spring back into your step. Holy basil. Holy basil is another Ayurvedic solution for balancing the biological system, helps moisturize the skin, support healthy heart circulation, and lowers cortisol levels. It also is effective for balancing agents for controlling insulin response. That is awesome. Turmeric. Turmeric is a key player in Ayurvedic medicines as well as Chinese medicine. Increasing circulatory functions is a natural pain insulator and inflammation reducer. Turmeric protects the liver, protects against Alzheimer's disease when taken with vitamin D, and starves off varieties of cancer. How awesome is that? Ginseng. Ginseng is the star of the Chinese medicine that empowers you with youthful energy and vibrance. This herb gives you more in terms of energetic potential and adds more exuberance to your body's immune system. There you go. I am out of time, but I hope you enjoyed these methods of reversing the aging process with Mother Nature, and use these keys: the 2 face applications to make you young and beautiful and awesome, 5 anti-aging foods, and 5 top reverse aging herbs to live a longer and become more youthful every day. My name is Juanita Holiday, and you can find out more about me at juanitaholiday.com. And if you have any questions about my anti-aging tools found in nature, you can find out more information at naturalalternativespecialist.com. Thank you for attending today. God bless you. Que Dios los bendiga. Adiós.
Thank you, Juanita Holiday. I have been utilizing a lot of these technologies, but now I have a new shopping list prepared thanks to you. Now, on his way to the studio is a man who's an intellectual, who possesses an unparalleled, inquisitive nature that permeates his striving for knowing more about all things that boggles the minds of mere mortals. Founding member of St. Paul's Free University, an off-grid permaculture specialist, and infinite life advisor, Daniel Mark Schwartz is going to share with us about designing and planting your own Garden of Eden. Without further ado, here's Daniel Mark Schwartz, the smartest guy I know.
Hi, Daniel here with Off-Grid Permaculture, and I'm really excited to share with you today a talk entitled Designing and Planting Your Own Garden of Eden, Long Life and Health Food with Permaculture Food Forests. So I primarily am a teacher of off-grid living, solar systems, off-grid water systems, as well as how to grow and store your own food for self-sufficiency. But one of the things that got me interested in this from the beginning
is the quality of life enhancements that you get from growing your own food and having a self-sustaining piece of property. So today I'm going to go into depth on what you get, the health benefits you get, and the potential lifetime extensions that you can get by growing your own highly nutritious foods, as well as ways that you can grow this food yourself with little or no effort and little or no money. This talk is going to be in 3 parts. Part 1, why would homegrown food support long life, and what are the health benefits of having your own garden? The second part is, can we actually build a Garden of Eden? And here I'm going to talk about a proposal that the Garden of Eden may have actually existed, not as a place, but as a way of living that our ancestors knew about, that the wise elders of every civilization seem to have access to, and that we can potentially re-realize on the planet today. Part 3, I'm going to go into the little more technical details of permaculture design techniques and what food forests are and how you can get started building a food forest today for your own healthy and highly nutritious meals. Getting started with Part 1, why homegrown food supports long life. There's a number of reasons. Number 1, I'm claiming that homegrown food are more nutritious than store-bought food. It's not difficult to imagine that something you picked fresh minutes before you cooked it directly from your own organic garden could be better than something that was produced commercially on a farm or even by a local farmer on the best possible case and picked days, if not weeks before you got a chance to eat it. But for those of you who are interested in more rigorous scientific data-y explanations, here's an explanation for why they would be healthier that I think you might find interesting. First of all, let's look at crop production numbers over time. This graph shows mostly wheat crops, but production across the board on every commercial crop has gone up over time. So if we look at this, 100 years ago or more, many of these crops were producing 10, 20 bushels per acre. Now, the majority are above 40, if not above 60, and in the extreme case, corn has gone from approximately 25 bushels per acre to almost 150 bushels per acre. Does that mean that these crops are able to pull so much more nutrition out of the soil, or are they just getting less and less nutritious over time? Another point of contention is the meat production, right? 40 years ago, it took 10 weeks to achieve a 4-pound chicken, which is the standard market chicken. Nowadays, it takes 5 weeks to produce a 5-pound chicken. How is that possible? Well, according to this article from the Penn State Extension, these advances are the result of scientific progress in genetic, nutritional, and environmental research. Right? So they're eating more and more grains. They've been bred to grow faster and faster. And it's to the point now to where most commercial chickens will not fully feather out, at least meat chickens. In many cases, can barely stand. They are so winded that they can hardly walk, right? But they're growing quickly. Is that a healthy and nutritious meal? More on that, they're eating these grain crops which we're producing at 10 times greater rates, especially corn, than we did in the past. Why are these corn and other grains growing so quickly? Chemical fertilizers. Right? If you provide a plant with nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, it will grow large and big, but it is not being supplemented with various other minerals that is necessary for a big, healthy, nutritious plant. Like our human bodies, we need a wide variety of minerals, as everybody who takes vitamins knows, to be healthy. And usually we should get these from the plants and animals that we eat. But we're instead getting fewer and fewer as the production yearly goes up from the same piece of land, which is not being replenished with minerals, only being replenished with these chemical additives. Another interesting way to look at is a homegrown piece of fruit or vegetable healthier is from the aspect of bioavailable compounds that are produced in these plants. All right, in this picture again, you'll see that the left plant, the garden pig plant, is much greener, which indicates it has much more chlorophyll. Chlorophyll has been widely tested and shown to be a very healthy and nutritious compound which supports our body and particularly against the fight of cancer. So in this just one particular research that I found, of which there are hundreds if not thousands that have shown the benefits of chlorophyll, in conclusion, chlorophyll and pheophytin, which is a related chemical to chlorophyll, from spinach are able to inhibit or reverse multi-drug resistance in cancer cells and bacteria. Other research has shown that chlorophyll and chlorophyllin, which is the yellow dye that you see, or the yellow coloring in most fruits and vegetables, helps reduce instances of various forms of cancer, particularly colon cancer. From the same research, this shows the viability of these cancer test cells when they're exposed to various amounts of chlorophyll and other cancer-reducing agents. And in higher doses of chlorophyll, especially on the graph to the right, with large doses of chlorophyll, it reduces the viability of these cancer cells almost to zero. And this is just one particular very focused study. Across the board, chlorophyll has been shown to be extremely supportive of our general health, and particularly it helps us fight cancers and other diseases that may lodge themselves in our body. Another consideration for growing your own food is getting it out of the chemically supported growing situation of most commercial farms. Right now, in the United States, U.S. farmers use 85 pesticides banned by other countries. That's the European Union, that's China, that's Brazil, that's various countries around the world. We use more, or we allow more pesticides than any other country at this moment. So here's some quick facts about the pesticides that you're consuming today on your food. In 2016, the United States used 322 million pounds of pesticides that are banned by the EU. And that's less than 25%, about 25% of all of the pesticides that we use in the United States. So we're using millions, thousands of millions of pounds of pesticides every year on our food and produce. As another example, glyphosate, which is the main ingredient of the Roundup concoction, promulgated by Monsanto, which is much derided in the health community, is that from 1990 to 2014, this glyphosate exposure on crops increased from 7.7 million pounds of produce to over 250 million pounds of produce. Now, I don't have data for, in the recent years, but this trend is just going up and up. And it's going to get to the point where it's difficult to find any produce that's not exposed to this glyphosate at all. Well, isn't glyphosate healthy? That depends. According to the FDA itself, and I got this quote from the FDA's website, approximately 59% of corn and soy samples tested positive for residues of glyphosate or related compounds that you find in that as a result of exposure to glyphosate-containing pesticides. So on the same website, they said, yes, it does contain it, but it's within the safe levels. But what is a safe level is actually disputed. Across the world, most regulatory agencies have found that there is a link between glyphosate and cancer. The one glaring exception is in the United States. Many other agencies in the United States have found it to be potentially hazardous, but the EPA, the one in particular in charge of deciding whether this is able to be used in the United States or not, has found that they don't think it causes cancer. However, in this government-sponsored scientific panel, the FIFRA panel, which is tasked by U.S. legislation to review the findings of government agencies in the United States, they raised serious questions about whether it should have been allowed at all. And in the highlighted section, you can see the weight of evidence conclusion based on the EPA's 2005 guidelines naturally leads to suggestive evidence of potential carcinogenic effects. So according to these scientists' analysis, by the EPA's own guidelines, the EPA should have found it to be carcinogenic. And near the bottom, I'll just read, using standard approaches in the analysis of the glyphosate rodent bioassay data, so testing it on animals, significant carcinogenic effects are observed at doses that do not greatly exceed the EPA's high-end estimate of occupational exposure. So our farmers are in serious risk by using this. We're in serious risk if we eat this because these types of carcinogenic compounds are something that will build up over time in our cells, in our body. We've already noted this in specifically dioxin in larger apex hunting animals, particularly eagles. But this happens all across the board. And there's no reason to believe that us eating glyphosate on a regular basis would not cause serious health effects and could be one of the reasons why cancer is so prevalent in today's society when 100 years ago it was rare and almost unheard of. Now, on a more positive note, there's a lot of potentially beneficial effects that can be gleaned from growing your own food that we're not even tapping into at all. Just as a quick example, there's hundreds of heirloom apple varieties out there with interesting flavors, potential health benefits that haven't been explored, usability, so some of them store longer, some of them are sweeter, some of them grow earlier, some of them grow later. such a huge variety of potential genetic diversity that we just don't see sold in stores. You can't buy these unless you know a farmer nearby who's growing them, or you grow one for yourself. This type of shrinking down of the variety of crops that we're growing and eating can be seen across the board. This graphic comes from research that shows that from 1960 to 2010, the homogeneity, or how similar the crops that we grow are, is going up and up and up. On the top right of the graphic, you can see that this clustering near the center, so in 2009, there are far more black dots near the center than in 1960. And that indicates that the variety of plants that you're having access to in the store when you buy produce, or in the products that are pre-made that you buy, is getting less and less and less. This isn't only a danger in that we might be promoting the spread of these super diseases, which can take out whole varieties of crops because that's all we're growing, but also it leaves on the table a huge genetic diversity which may have health benefits, may be healing the diseases that we need to heal, and we just don't know that they're there because we're not eating them. All right, why is this happening? Modern agriculture maximizes profit at the expense of diversity and quality. All they care about is money in, subtracted from how much they can sell it for. If you can grow 101 pounds in the same time as you could grow 100 pounds with a different variety, then they'll go for the 101 pounds. For instance, in chicken feedlots, there's only 2 types of chickens that you're likely to see. If it's a meat chicken, you're almost for sure going to see Cornish cross. If you've ever eaten chicken in the United States, it's almost for sure been Cornish cross, not any of the tens or even hundreds of other varieties of chickens out there. If you've had eggs in the United States, it's almost for sure produced by the Leghorn variety and none of the other multiple purpose chickens or egg-laying specific chickens that are out there. Why? Because of all the ones, those have the highest production numbers. And they've been genetically modified or selected for over time so that they produce more and more and more and more. But are they selecting for health benefits? Are they selecting for the quality of the meat? No, not necessarily. They're selecting for how much you can sell it for, which is usually weight. They want more for the same amount of feed, more for the same amount of time. Another thing to consider is processing. Right? All of our meat, all of our milk, all of our produce goes through industrial purification processes which may not be beneficial. Here's research that I found on the National Institute of Health's website. This researcher indicated, according to this quote that I have here, that unheated milk is superior to heated milk because unheated milk contains antibody to an ubiquitous enteropathogen like rotavirus. And this is just one of the many benefits of unheated milk. In fact, some of the earliest vaccines were discovered because a doctor found that milkmaids, these women having access to daily fresh milk and who worked with cows directly, had far fewer of these extremely dangerous diseases than the average person. And in fact, it's been suggested, and there's decent proof to support this, that cows will sense or biologically have the capability of building antibodies that meet or that counter the diseases of animals in their vicinity. So human beings, by working with cattle every day and drinking their milk, are actually receiving antibodies that protect us from diseases that we're liable to be getting or maybe in the early stages of getting and can counter those diseases in us. That's not far-fetched. But so why is it so that so many people think that milk is a hazardous or a dangerous thing? Well, it's probably partially because, in some populations, milk is just not a good food source. But in other populations, Europeans that have a long history of drinking milk, it's probably likely due to the fact that we're pasteurizing. We're heating up our milk just below boiling before we drink it. All right, that's not how ancient humans drank milk. That's not how our ancestors survived off it, and it destroys, as this research shows, any possibility of these antivirus and antibodies coming to us that were produced by the cow as a gift to us to help us protect from communicable diseases. Lastly, when it comes to growing your own garden, you have the ability to, and I highly recommend that you do, save your own seeds. And by doing this, saving the seeds, sharing it with our neighbors, we're actually producing and selecting for our own variety of plant, a plant that doesn't exist anywhere else. This plant, it has robust genetics, which is capable of surviving the type of diseases that you get, that lives well, that grows well in the climate that you have because it grew there, right? The ones that don't grow well didn't grow or they didn't produce seeds. And by being vigilant, watching nature, and selecting the plants that do the best, that have the most nutritious healthiest product rather than just the largest, which is what most seed manufacturers are selecting for, we can actually produce superfoods far better than anything currently on the market that's adapted specifically for our needs as a human being, what our particular dietary aspects are, as well as the environment that we find ourselves in today. Lastly, in this section, I would like to talk about how actually growing a garden changes you just by the act of doing it. Here's a quote from the famous Roman orator Cicero: "If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need." The act of being a farmer, of growing food, has been widely seen as an highly honorable and almost philosopher, in the sense of Plato, like the ideal man way of living. Right? It's very difficult to cause anybody trouble if you're just minding your own business, growing your own food. And there's something about the pursuit of growing that is very spiritual and very religious. It's not a coincidence that almost every religion across the planet, their monks have made tending a garden as part of their spiritual practice. To bring in a little bit of Eastern culture, here's a quote from a Zen teacher: "To practice right livelihood," which is one of the precepts of Buddhism, "you have to find a way to earn your living without transgressing your ideals of love and compassion." You see this in multiple religions, in Christianity, various Eastern religions, that the way you live your life, the way that you make your living and support yourself, is of the utmost importance when it comes to your spiritual attainment. And so I posit that it's possible that by growing our own gardens, we're actually making not only a health practice, but a spiritual practice as well. So what are the benefits of actually working a garden? Number one, physical exercise. So much in modern society, we spend a lot of time sitting around, driving from here to there. And some of us do avail of exercise or pre-planned type activities, but there's nothing better than actually getting a benefit, not only a physical benefit, but that the food, the produce that you get is very motivating. And it's been shown through scientific research that physical exercise is the only way that we know of that protects fluid IQ. All those games and all that stuff that they talk about potentially making you smarter, there's no evidence that that does. It seems like, from what we know now, that people somewhat have a natural intelligence maximum. And if we nurture young people, they can achieve that. But as you get older, your fluid intelligence, which is your ability to adapt to new and different situations and learn new material, it generally goes down. But by engaging in daily physical exercise of a moderate variety, that's the only thing that's been shown to slow that decline and even keep it at the same level. So if we're going to live for 100 years, you want to be fully mentally capable at the end of that time. You got to incorporate exercise into your daily life. And I think that growing a garden and doing that kind of physical work is some of the most rewarding thing that you can do. Another benefit is a random movement. Well, some of us do like to exercise, and that's one of the things that I like to do. I do yoga on an almost daily basis. Those type of systems don't give you random, multi-directional movement. The kind of stuff that you get in a garden, stretching, bending from side to side, rotating your body, that type of unplanned movement has been shown to be much more effective at keeping your mobility and keeping up your physical health in old age, making the spine erect, which is, besides obesity and other like heart disease, if you get past all that, the biggest contributor to mental decline in old age, due to some research in Okinawa, which is some of the oldest population of humans being still alive today, has shown that how far forward your neck is. So if you're like that, you're not going to be lasting much longer. But by having a nice erect spine as in your older age, that correlates very strongly with being able to be independent and have a long and productive life, especially in your old age. Right now in the United States and most Western countries, we have an epidemic of vitamin D deficiency. And while they put that stuff in milk or whatever, vitamin D is supposed to be produced and is most effectively produced in your own body by being exposed to natural sunlight. So if we get out a little more, we make part of how we support ourselves, how we get our food, a process where we get exposed to natural sunlight, then we are also having the health benefits of natural vitamin D production, which we're missing now. And the last few points here is going into the psychic or the mental aspect of working in the garden. Working in a garden isn't necessarily a high intellectual task, something that you need to be constantly thinking. It's something you can just relax into, and it becomes, if you do it correctly, a meditative experience to where you can focus not on your thoughts, but on the task that you're doing, and see the benefits, the health benefits of meditation mixed in with the actual physical activity that you're doing. You don't have to sit. And in fact, in some Zen traditions, they say there's only two things that a monk needs to do: to sit in meditation and to tend the garden. But both of those are religious concentration building exercises. So why not incorporate tending the garden into your daily routine as well? Lastly, I don't know how to explain it, but I think everybody that's sat in a garden, been relaxed, spent time there, knows that it's just so relaxing. And there's just something about being amongst nature, amongst this plant in a very welcoming circumstance, something that you built yourself, that it just makes the stress of the day melt away. So now moving on to part 2. Is it possible to build a Garden of Eden? And what exactly is that? The search or the idea of rebuilding a Garden of Eden is not new. And in fact, the myth of the Garden of Eden extends through various cultures. You know, it seems almost ubiquitous. Wherever there are stories of the past, there are stories of a lush time in the past filled with people who lived many hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. Is that just a myth, something that all human beings tend to think up? Or is there some reality to these claims or to this historical account that's reaching us today, if not muddied through the sands of time, something, you know, a little grain of truth in this? First of all, I'd like to bring up some of the early accounts of Westerners who encountered Native Americans and who traveled from the west or the east coast of the United States over the west coast. This is a little snippet of a description of how the Native Americans interacted with the land that they lived on. So fires were set by Native Americans to augment hunting opportunities, but the woods were also burned to make way for specific species. Oaks and hickories, so this is artificial selection, were produced, which produce abundant, nutritious fruits in certain years, were spared or actively propagated. Northern beech and maple forests were converted into oak and pine woods interspersed with fields. And this has to do with making boundary land, which I'll talk about more in the permaculture part of this talk. But so this is all very planned out. The results of these management activities were a mosaic of agricultural, grassland, savanna, woodlands, and forests, rather than a broken expanse of natural forests. So now that we have, especially here in the West where I am, big chunks of, you know, thousands of acres of research land set aside without any human management at all, and we've had these for over 100 years now, 150 years in some cases, completely untouched by man. We've seen that what early explorers reported about how the West was, this super abundant land of buffalo herds that extended for days' rides in any direction, of flocks of birds that would pass overhead and almost blot out the sun. You couldn't see the edge of the flock, of fish that were so abundant in the streams that just putting a boat in the water and paddling the canoe around, you'd come back with a boat filled with fish because they just jump in. There were just so many fish. The superabundance doesn't seem accidental. What the early explorers report about the conditions, about it being a patchwork of interconnected meadowlands, and one explorer that I read an account of, he said that he believed the United States could march an army with cannons, with supply carts, directly without hitting a woodland or without being impeded by a dense woodland all the way from the east coast to the west coast with no problem. That is not what we're seeing with these untended lands. So the original thought that, well, the Native Americans just didn't interfere with the natural process of the forest and that's why it was so abundant, that seems incorrect. In fact, the reason why it's so abundant is very likely specifically due to the way that they managed it. And what happens when you don't manage forest lands, it becomes thick, dense, huge superforests, which are productive in their own right, but not nearly as productive or conducive to human life as the forests that we encountered when Europeans first came to the North American continent. What about in other places of the world? There's some interesting evidence that comes out of the English islands. Specifically, the Bronze Age inhabitants of the English islands actually cultivated more land than is cultivated in England now. They cultivated almost all of it. The majority of the land was cultivated. So, and this, to place it, is roughly the era of Stonehenge, of the Druids. The Bronze Age came a little bit later than this. But these are the type of people, these nature-in-tuned individuals that lived there and were able to make England a super productive area. Now, we don't have as much evidence because this was so long ago compared to with the Native Americans, but it's very likely that they used similar techniques to manage their land. We know specifically with evidence that we have now that the Druids cleared large, or not necessarily Druids themselves, but the inhabitants of England at that time period cleared large pieces of land and made deep woodlands more productive and amenable to human life. And many of these changes have stuck around to this day. So was the Garden of Eden a specific place, like in the Middle East or Missouri or something? I don't think so. I don't think it was a physical garden. I think it was a time and a way of living on the earth that we've subsequently lost. So maybe it was a time in the past, or maybe even it's an ideal that we have yet to reach. And I think it's something that we could potentially build for ourselves in the future. We've already seen that human beings, from the Native American evidence and from evidence of modern humans, that human beings can affect the environment and how ecosystems develop. So far in modern times, we've mostly had a negative effect, but historically, there seems to be times in history when human beings had a huge net positive effect, creating superabundance. So why can't we convert the way that we operate so that in the future, a few generations from now, the world can yet again be in a state of superabundance where there's food, game, and forage just widely available to any human being who is willing and able to pick it. Now, how does this all link in with long life? I thought I'd bring in this one quotation. Ancient Taoists make reference to immortals, Taoist masters hundreds of years old who live on dew, pine nuts, and invigorating high mountain air. Now, did they just eat pine nuts? Probably not. A lot of these myths have been exaggerated over time, but it seems like in the Chinese tradition, there's record of these ancient people who lived hugely long lives, much longer than anybody today expects to live and anybody in ancient times expected to live, and lived almost entirely off what was produced on the land without direct cultivation. To me, this seems like, combined with the stories of the Garden of Eden, of the people in the Bible that lived hundreds of years old, of the Native American myths, and myths from almost every culture, that ancient people who developed this, or lived in what I might call the Garden of Eden, had very long and productive lives. So how can we hope to realize this? In this last and third part, I'm going to talk about modern design techniques that have been put forward as a way to develop this Garden of Eden, specifically permaculture and food forest design. What is permaculture? Permaculture is more than just a prescription on how you should plant a garden, or what you plant here, or what kind of swales or whatever you want to make. Permaculture is actually an academic discipline excuse me, that looks at nature as the basis for our design. So permaculture seeks to copy nature to make an infinitely stable and successful ecosystem where human beings and nature are both accounted for. One of the important bases of permaculture is ethos, right? A design is not a good design unless it cares for the earth, cares for the people, right? So we're not here to destroy ourselves in order to bring the earth back to whatever pre-human state it was. We're not here to take what's there to benefit humans, but let the earth go where it may. This system says, let's care for the earth, care for the people, and take abundance and reinvest it to make more in the future. So we're investing in the earth system as a way of supporting ourselves. In order to do this, permaculture puts forward 7 principles by which you can judge a good design from a bad design. First, a good design is based off observations of nature, how natural systems work, patterns that you find in nature, from sand dunes to the fractal edges of ponds and the ocean itself. These type of ideas should be accounted for and should be reflected in our own designs because they've proven to be highly effective and highly productive. Next is we're interconnecting everything. How modern agriculture looks at plants is this plant takes in this thing, it takes in this fertilizer, this amount of water, this amount of manual management, so planting, harvesting, all that, and it gives us X amount of bushels of wheat or bushels of soybeans. In permaculture, we look to interconnect, as you can see in the diagram to the right, every element of these systems so that the output of one is the input of the next. So it's a self-referential, self-amplifying system that takes far more less inputs and takes every waste product and makes it an opportunity to reinvest back in the system by giving it to another element of the system that can benefit from it. For instance, composting. What was waste, what was trash, thrown away food, can be given to animals or composted, made into manure or into fresh dirt, which in turn revigorates and revitalizes our garden. So nothing is a waste in a good, well-designed permaculture system. Third, we're going to catch and store as many nutrients and energy inputs as possible. So we're not paying to bring this stuff in. We're letting it accumulate naturally by being by placing all of the parts of our system well and by designing the system properly. Every element in the system has to provide multiple functions. So a chicken shouldn't just be a source of meat or a source of eggs. It should also use its pecking to help aerate the soil. It should be be used as a way to feed the chickens with bugs that would otherwise be pests. Their manure should be a positive input of the system rather than something that you have to pay to get hauled away. Everything that we do needs to have multiple reasons why it exists in that system in order to be maximally efficient. And again, every function that we need, so if we need fertilization, we need aeration, we need nitrogen fixation, all of these should have multiple different plants and animals that serve this function. So we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket. Now, second from last, we're looking at the least change for greatest effect. And I like to think of this as a chess match, right? A good chess player will move one piece to make a huge effect all across the board. And like chess players, permaculturists are looking to take a system that we have and make the smallest change possible for the greatest positive effect. Why do we do this? Mostly because humans aren't that smart. If anything of centralized economies and scientific planning is shown, we can hardly expect to anticipate all the results of the changes that we make. You know, human beings just aren't capable of understanding everything that can happen, all the knock-on effects of things that we do. So permaculture advocates that we move slowly, make minimal changes, and observe the effects, again, the first principle, to make sure we did the right thing. Lastly, all of this links to and points to using small-scale intensive systems. It's much more difficult for a single person to manage 100,000 acres or 1,000 acres of cropland and really observe what's going on, especially with these rich, deeply interconnected systems, than it is for a person to manage 5 or 10 acres. Everybody, in order for this to be effective, has to get in the game and has to be actively involved, maybe a portion of their time, a couple hours a day or an hour a day or even a couple hours a week, in building and maintaining their own ecosystem that produces the food that keeps them healthy and vital over a long lifespan. So this stuff isn't brand new. Permaculture has been around for quite a long time, and here's an example of a 23-year-old food forest in New Zealand. I've seen other examples on the East Coast of the United States, West Coast of the United States, England, almost anywhere, pretty much every English-speaking country and many other countries as well have examples of these food forests. And so we're learning all this information that can be applied, and it's time now for this to become mainstream, where somebody who's not necessarily a permaculture expert can start implementing this in their life and reap a huge benefit from the knowledge accumulated over decades of practicing permaculture design. So why a food forest? What are the attributes of a forest that we want to emulate? Right? We're looking at nature as our template for what we want to do. So why is the forest the right thing? Well, number one, forests are resilient. Loggers can go in, cut down half the forest, come back in 3 or 4 years, and it's already growing itself back up again. In fact, the first summer, you're going to see numerous plants come in and take up the space that were opened up by man's incursion into forest. Right? Try cutting down a crop of soybeans or a crop of corn. Will it grow back? Almost for sure not. Building resilient systems means we have to do less effort to keep it going, and it's much more secure. Additionally, food forests are regenerative, right? You don't have to go to a normal forest and replant it manually unless you take drastic steps and clear-cut huge swaths of it. Forests will regenerate themselves. They replant themselves every year. They bring in new species naturally flow in and out where they're needed. And that's the kind of system that we want to build to reduce our time and cost of building it and to make sure that the system is maximally efficient. Again, productivity. While commercial croplands are more productive in terms of how many dollars can you get per acre, at least with current technology. In terms of calories and amount of energy gleaned from a piece of land, forests are by far more productive than any other system on this planet, or at least on surface ecosystems. If we're trying to make the most out of our 5 acres or 10 acres or even quarter acre that we have, emulating the design of a forest is the way that you can get the most calories and the most beneficial plants and herbs out of it. Lastly, low energy inputs. When you have a really productive food forest, you're not paying for tractors, you're not paying for fertilizer, you're not paying for irrigation water and pumping and all this electricity. Because food forests are naturally self-sufficient, they are low cost, low energy, light on the environment, and highly productive. How do forests do this? First of all, we look at the layering of the forest. So instead of just having a, corn just planted as far as the eye can see, forests have multiple plants interspersed and designed to be at different levels, fitting different niches within the forest. So the overstory tree is the tallest plant within that ecosystem, has the most direct access to sunlight and provides shade to the rest. Below that is an understory tree layer, so a medium level tree. Shrubs below that, herbs below that, root layers root layers below and under the earth, so carrots, ground cover, which helps protect the ground, and then natural vines, which are supported by the taller species. All the food that we eat, so squash, corn, fruit trees, all of these are naturally part of this type of an ecosystem, and by combining them together to where one provides shade for the other, one, provides ground cover around what is being taken up by the larger species, and that grow at different times of the year, we can get maximum production out of the one single square acre of land that we have. So this concept of putting multiple plants together is called companion planting in permaculture, and here's some of the benefits and what we look for when we're designing a companion planting system. One is we want to plant with plants with complementary life cycles. Sometimes this is called succession planting. So if something ripens early, we want to have something already in place there that ripens late. So strawberries and asparagus is one good example of that. They can both be planted in the same place, and they mature at different times of the year. So we get double production from the same area. It's great to mix plants with different ecosystem niches together. So one example is nitrogen fixers like peanuts or squash or beans, not squash, but beans, in an area with a plant that takes out much nitrogen. So there's an overall balance of the nutrients in that ecosystem. We want to mix plants that provide support, shade, shelter from wind together with plants that need that type of shade, shelter, or support, so that we don't have to put in our own posts, have to build windbreaks. Right? If we can just grow something that meets that purpose, then we have maximized our efforts. Also, mixing some types of varieties of plants will actually improve the flavor. So basil and tomatoes are a great example. Basil really improves the flavor of tomatoes and makes them much more palatable. And in many cases, and again, basil and tomatoes, basil will help speed up the growth of tomatoes. Basil helps a lot of different plants grow more quickly and healthier. Also, some plants, especially herbs and some flowers, provide disease resistance and pest repellent properties. So instead of needing these fungicides or needing pesticides to be sprayed on our plants to make them resilient to these diseases, if we plant the right plants around, then that will also serve the purpose for much less cost and for greater beauty. One classic example of this companion planting concept is the so-called Three Sisters, which was used widely by the Native Americans. These three sisters are corn, beans, and squash. So as an example of the concept we talked about, corn is a taller plant and it provides structure for the beans to grow up, so we don't need bean poles. The corn serves that purpose. Corn is a heavy feeder, requires lots of nitrogen. Beans fix nitrogen, so the beans are fertilizing the corn without us having to buy any fertilizer and spread it ourselves. Now, between the beans and corn, there's a lot of empty land technically, so we want something to cover that empty soil, because nature hates empty soil and will fill it with something. And in this case, squash is a perfect cover. So squash likes that type of environment. It's meant to grow on the forest floor, and also has a complementary life cycle to the other beans and squash, so it can go in and cover up the land and keep the soil healthy while providing you with a third crop out of the same location. Another natural phenomenon that we're looking to emulate, and that we saw with the Native Americans in the past, is to provide as much boundary territory as possible. We don't want large, giant, thick forests. Now, having an interconnected patchwork of forests, that's one thing. But by allowing boundary conditions between forest and meadow, between meadow and rivers and lakes, and as many different ecosystems as possible, nature has found, or people observing nature have found, that the most productive areas of these forests are right in these boundary conditions. So in our gardens, we're making rich fractal landscapes with as much boundary as possible to maximize production. Another thing we're doing in permaculture is working to support the microbes and funguses that actually provide the nutrients for the plants that we're growing. Having a rich, healthy soil is almost as important as anything else that you do in the garden. And so there's a number of techniques that we use to do this. One is no-dig gardening. By turning the soil or plowing the soil, as traditionally is done, that actually destroys soil structure and works to harm the microbes in the soil and the fungus structure. So we want to keep that in place. Instead of no-dig gardening, one concept that we use is lasagna style. So instead of digging stuff up, we actually just keep adding on top, adding mulch, adding compost, sometimes using cover crops or using crops that you can cut down and put over as a cover crops, but a mulch that protects the soil and neutralizes the soil. We develop a thick layer of extremely loose aerated soil without having to do any digging at all. This occurred naturally. For instance, in the American Midwest, some layers of soil are almost 40 feet deep, and that just occurred because grasslands were constantly growing and dying and re-fertilizing and making that soil so vigorous and healthy. Plus, it's a lot less work, so that's great. Cover crops I've already mentioned, and composting and mulching. So we're just adding to the soil, adding nutrients, adding beneficial organic matter to the soil, and allowing the natural structure to build up over time. Another really interesting additive that we can look into putting in is biochar. Biochar is essentially just wood or organic material that's been cooked to a charcoal. And you can do this with certain techniques with burn pits or partially covered. And this is actually a technique that was widely used in South America. And there's these black soils in South America which were developed, through the art of man by doing biochar techniques, adding it to the soil over time. That has made the soil the most productive soil found anywhere in the world. And in fact, in the American, old 18th century, 19th century farmers, there's accounts of places where there were burn pits and the thick, inches thick layers of charcoal that in times of drought were far more productive than anywhere else in the field. And the farmers were just astonished to see this. So this is another method that we can use to build a super abundant, super rich soil by taking the brush and stuff that would normally get burnt in a forest fire and burning it ourselves to make charcoal that as a positive additive. Biochar, we don't 100% know why it works so well as it does, but it seems to improve soil structure as one of the main things. Improve the soil's ability to keep and retain water, as well as supplying places for nutrients to enter the ecosystem. So it captures nutrients that would normally pass right through and stores it there where plants can access it. And biochar additions aren't just one year after the next. Biochar has been shown to improve productivity of soil for at least decades. Lastly, we're going to avoid chemical additives because all these chemicals are killing the bacteria that we can't see, killing the microbes, and inhibiting them from doing their function. And so we may get an initial boost by adding these chemical fertilizers, but over time we become more and more dependent on them because the microbes that would have naturally fertilized the soil are dying off. So in the end, our goal is to build a living web, a food forest, with many creatures, microbes, funguses, trees, bushes, shrubs, animals. And I haven't talked much about the animals, but animals are used widely in permaculture designs to help augment and improve the forest ecosystem. In the end, we have something that is ultra productive, low maintenance, low cost, and what I would claim to be our dream of a Garden of Eden that provides long life and health through, for us and our grandchildren and for generations to come, ideally. So the question is, we have the technology now, we know what to do, we just need people to do it. So are you going to be part of the next Garden of Eden? Can you be part of this movement where whatever little land you have, or even if you're in an apartment, just planting things in pots and building a little ecosystem around you? We have the ability now to start creating this wonderful garden for everybody. So it's just super exciting that the place that we're in, the amount of information that we have, the availability of information thanks to modern technology. So don't let this pass you by. This is a huge opportunity, and there's just so many people moving in this direction that I can't. It's difficult to put in words how exciting it is to be part of building this Garden of Eden. And so I hope that you join us. So my name has been Daniel Schwartz. I am the primary author of offgridpermaculture.com. So if anything I've said has resonated with you and you want more information, I've got a lot more really in-depth technical articles as well as introductory stuff to how you can get started with permaculture growing and going off-grid and all that stuff. So we'd love to have you join us there. All the articles are free. But either way, thanks for watching, and I wish you long life and good health.
The Fountain of Youth's Merkaba Star is up next with a bit of applied holistic quantum science for youth and longevity. Life coach, Reiki Master, and founder of Philos 5D, Samantha Elmore is going to teach us how to apply the principles of Philos 5D to live a long, exuberant life by addressing brain and heart health, hormonal balance, and the chakras. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to live a longer life with Samantha Elmore.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Lamore with St. Paul's Free University. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the Vital Violet Elixir. Is there a fountain of youth? And if so, what is it at a molecular level? Well, it depends on how long our cells are programmed to live. The lifespan is directly proportional to the length of repeating DNA codes. Our DNA is coding for proteins and is made up of 23 paired chromosomes. To protect our helical DNA from unraveling, there is a telomere cap of non-coding DNA sequences on the end of each chromosome, allowing protection from damage. As our cells continue to replicate and divide, the telomeres begin to shorten and continue to do so until the sequence is too short and the cell cannot divide any further. Cellular aging and diseases are directly related to the regulation of telomere length and longevity. The Hayflick limit suggests each cell may only replicate 40 to 60 times before going through a programmed cell death process called apoptosis. Each cell's program is dependent upon how many times it is able to replicate, and its ability to replicate is directly proportional to the length of its telomeres. The length of telomeres are influenced by the catalytic enzymatic cascade of telomerase. At a molecular level, our immortality lies within the telomerase. Telomerase is an enzyme in the body responsible for adding a non-coding DNA sequence to the 3' cap of linear chromosomes. Our telomerase expression is linked to our lifestyle and genetic makeup. Our genes are coded by our DNA, and our DNA is encoded by light. Our gene codes for our proteins, and many of our proteins are enzymes. Yet our genetics may be influenced by our environment. So epigenetics is centered around the idea our behaviors and environments may alter the way our genes express themselves. This means our lifestyle and our ability to adapt to stress may directly influence our longevity through altering the way telomerase expresses itself. Long periods of stress are harmful to the body on a larger scale, which break down to a molecular level, means stress also influences our longevity. So what's one way to manage stress? Shed more light on the matter by opening yourself up to more levels of conscious attention. The world around us actually exists because we perceive it. And when we alter the way we see things, the things we see evolve with us. So if our DNA is light and color is the expression of light, can one alter telomerase expression with color? Colors are the expression of light and are evoked by our nervous systems. We see colors because our eyes have specialized receptors, called photoreceptors, in the retina, called cones. And these photoreceptors are responsible for absorbing red, green, and blue light color photons. The spectrum of visible light our human eyes are adapted to interpret is a combination of red, green, and blue light photons, whereas other animals like birds have highly specialized cones to see spectrums of UV light. When photons reach the retina, they are transduced into chemical signals communicating with the brain and allowing us to interpret the world around us through a spectrum of visible light frequencies. The visible light spectrum is a collection of electromagnetic waves within 380 to 700 nanometers. We have the ability to integrate electromagnetic waves because we are electromagnetic beings of light, color, and sound. We have electromagnetic centers in our bodies called chakras. Each chakra pertains to different frequencies, wavelengths, and colors of light. The 3 primary colors are combined into the 7 colors of the rainbow, aligning with the widely adopted belief of 7 major chakras. Chakras are energy centers of the body associated with various color, nerve plexi, glands, emotions, and organs. Light is energy with the potential to take many forms. Photons are quantum particles of light, also known as an elementary particle of light. of nature. Wavelength, the distance horizontally measured between two peaks in a wave. Wavelength is the distance horizontally measured between two peaks in a wave. Violet is the shortest wavelength and highest frequency, ranging from 400 to 420 nanometers. Violet is associated with the crown chakra and pituitary gland, also known as the master gland. It is found between indigo and invisible ultraviolet on the electromagnetic spectrum. Violet symbolizes spirituality, imagination, dreams, and the future. It soothes and promotes harmony of emotional centers of the brain. It increases supernatural psychic abilities, and violet promotes compassion, sensitivity for self and others. If we experience a resistance to violet, it may be because we are experiencing creative blockages and may display resistance to authority. So what if colors are therapeutic? Do you ever notice the different colors of clothing you choose to wear each day? Do you notice patterns of what color clothing you wear in relation to how you are feeling? Color therapy, also known as chromotherapy, is based off of the concept different colors can evoke different emotions. This concept is used often with marketing, and using specific colors can scientifically adjust one's body to frequencies that will bring the body into alignment and vitality. This occurs because different regions of our body are neurologically responsible for assimilating different spectrums of light. So, for example, the violet is associated with our crown chakra and is known for symbolizing imagination and spirituality. And the crown chakra is associated with the color violet, the pituitary gland, and the crown of our head. And the color violet may be intentionally used to calm the nervous system by promoting hormonal balance of the pituitary gland, also known as the master gland. The pituitary gland sits in the sella turcica of the sphenoid bone at the base of the cranium and is in charge of controlling functions of other endocrine glands in the body. It has direct contact with an anastomosis of arteries known as the circle of Willis, and the circle of Willis allows for collateral blood flow circulation to reach both the front and the back of the cerebrum, along with the cerebellum and pons. Our bodies are regulated by hormones. Hormones are the chemical messengers signaling an emotional response to an event. If any of our hormones are out of balance, our emotions are out of balance. More specifically, the pituitary gland sends out chemical messengers to our thyroid, adrenals, and ovaries and testes. Thus, color therapy has been suggested to have positive effects on different diseases such as aggressive or confrontational behavior, asthma, high blood pressure, ADHD, bronchitis, dyslexia, epilepsy, insomnia, and stress. So if our master gland is out of balance, our hormonal control over our body is out of balance. And when our hormones are out of balance, our emotions run away, and our body is left to adapt to stress the best it can with what it has to work with. So what can be done to alleviate stress? Shine more light on the matter. In fact, violet light to be exact. Violet is associated with the seventh major chakra, the crown chakra. It's the element of this chakra is thought, and it is thought to be the seed of enlightenment. It gives rise to awareness of what we perceive as the mind. Our mind is multi-leveled, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious. Our body is our subconscious mind, so in order to find health within, we must dive within. Our mind and experiences come together in finding a meaning response for everything, and the meaning we give something feeds our beliefs about it. So these beliefs become our master programming. In order to rewrite the programming, we can utilize meditations or visualizations specifically targeting our master gland, crown chakra, thoughts, and awareness. How? Using visualizations to activate the pituitary gland with violet light. Vitalism is the concept that the power that made the body heals the body, that an organism is self-sustaining, self-determined, and self-regulating. It holds the belief that there is a governing intelligence orchestrating life within us outside of our conscious control. And this means we inherently have within us all the tools and resources to heal ourselves. What heals us is divine intelligence. Let's call this divine intelligence elixir. This magical potion is constantly orchestrating a beautiful concert, playing one song as the universe By connecting and tapping into this elixir, we are able to access healing potential in the form of love and light as photons. So how does one call upon this elixir to drink from its heavenly nectar? By calling to Saint Germain and the violet flame. How do we call upon something we cannot see? We realize we can see them from within. When we think about a memory from a past event, where is it seen? For even blind people can still see. Our pineal gland is our mind's eye, third eye, and sixth major chakra. When we close our eyelids and bring a picture to awareness with our conscious mind, we are activating our pineal gland to see beyond linear time. If we can activate our pineal gland to see beyond linear time, we are able to heal records of our past lives. When we heal records, we heal all those that come before us and after us, as we are all interconnected in the cosmic mind. When we begin to observe our thoughts of our crown chakra, we are able to use both the mind's eye and the master gland in manifesting a desired outcome. Techniques such as meditation and visualization allow a space for healing through activation of the pineal gland, which in turn opens up time travel. Revisiting memories takes us back to the past where we leave the present moment. When we are in perpetual states of stress and worry, we are constantly taken out of the now moment of manifestation and into a predictable future based on past events. The crown chakra is the energy center for manifestation, and we have the innate ability to manifest health and vitality. And we have the innate ability to live longer, thriving lifestyles, creating our own fountains of youth from within. And there are dimensions to healing. We live in a universe built upon 12 dimensions. Our bodies reside in the first 3. Our mind and soul are able to communicate and integrate light from the other 9 dimensions. The violet fire may be used as a healing elixir to bring our soul to union with spirit and heal records from past lives. It is important to always set an intention so that the ascended masters, archangels, elementals, and angels of the 7th ray may help you achieve your highest and most best good. So with healing, our only limitations are our imaginations, and we are elemental beings of alchemy, and we have the ability to transmute and transform. Our ability to harness our own magic stems from our nature, our connection to nature and the cosmos. Our earth is calling to us to wake up to our own divine right to light. First, we burn away that which no longer serves us in order to call in our highest and most best good. So how do we burn away old programs? Fire, of course. Fire is cleansing. It has the power to cleanse away our fears. A violet fire has the ability to cleanse our bodies of fears and call in our power of manifestation. So where does this violet fire come from? Lightwork sends out beacons, and those beacons can be picked up by tricksters and lower dimensional beings of the 4th dimension. Before beginning the vital violet elixir visualization, we are first going to shield ourselves from any outside influences, any tricksters which may be attracted to our beacon. The shield allows us to clear our chakras, grounding ourselves into the earth before astral traveling, and guides us to call in help from higher dimensional beings. We are going to build a 12th dimensional platinum white shield through part 1 visualization, and then move on to part 2. First, we call upon Archangels Michael and Metatron to help and guide us. Someone once told me our angels are walking with out of work signs, waiting for us to call upon them for aid. It's as simple as saying, Archangels Michael and Metatron, help me, help me, help me. Then we set an intention for the session. One way of practicing the law of attraction is praying to angels for the most benevolent outcome. Like this: Dear angels, I pray today I attain the most benevolent outcome in healing records from my past lives, bringing me closer to the union with spirit, and growing my body younger. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Always give gratitude. Once help arrives, we move on to the visualization. Closing your eyes, take a deep breath in and let it out. Imagine you are standing on a white quartz sand beach. You hear the waves kissing the sand and the breeze in the trees. You wiggle your toes to feel the sand between them. To your front is your soul ocean. Standing near your soul ocean, feet in the earth, picture your Merkaba star floating 12 inches above your head. It is about the size of an orange and begins to glow a bright white light. Keeping your focus on the floating soul star, begin decreeing, I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. This invocation activates our light body and Merkaba star. As you chant this invocation, begin seeing your Merkaba star shining brighter and brighter, giving out 12th dimensional platinum white light. Now allow your soul star to fall with grace until it lands into the center of your brain. Pausing for a moment, allow your brain to absorb the divine white light. Notice any energies that may be clearing. Notice them as they pass through your brain with ease. As they clear, they drop down and go back to earth between your legs. Now the Merkaba is going to begin traveling down, piercing the earth's crust, mantle, and diving into her core. Here it recharges, reboots, and rejuvenates itself. Pause for a moment to give gratitude to Mother Earth and her love. Now rebooted, the Merkaba begins to travel back up through the earth, pausing 12 inches below your feet. This is your Earth Star Chakra. Here your Merkaba begins to spin counterclockwise. And as it spins counterclockwise, it's going to give off thousands and thousands of tiny threads of divine white light. And these threads build a platinum platform 3 feet in diameter. Once your platinum platform is built, your Merkaba is going to begin traveling back up through your center core, this time as a pillar of 12th dimensional divine white light. Passing through your third eye and crown chakra, the Merkaba is going to pause 3 feet above your head. Here your Merkaba begins to pick up momentum, spinning faster and faster. And as it spins, it gives off thousands of tiny radiations of divine white light. And these threads shoot down around you, grounding into your platinum platform and shielding you in 12th dimensional divine white light. Visualize sealing your aura in white and blue light while praying, I am presence, the presence of God. And as you do this, visualize a dazzling white light from above you, filling your aura. When diving into our inner planes, we can astral travel, and this occurs in the 4th dimension. And there may be dark entities which try to influence us or imprint on our aura. It is important to shield yourself. So now that the shield is built in a 3 by 3 feet grid, it is time to allow it to expand into a pillar that is 6 feet in diameter and 9 feet high. Part 2 of the visualization I call 11 minutes to heaven. Once the 12th dimensional shield is expanded upon to reach 6 feet by 9 feet, we're going to begin filling our pillar with violet flame. I call upon Saint Germain and the angels of the 7th ray to attain the most benevolent outcomes in guiding my soul back to union with spirit, healing past life records, and growing my body younger. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now repeat the mantra. I am the violet fire. I am the purity God desires. And as you repeat this, imagine a bright violet flame. This flame is pouring down from the heavens into your 12th dimensional pillar. This flame is alive, pulsating and moving. This flame is swirling with hues of bright purple, pink, and indigo. This is the violet flame of Saint Germain. As your thoughts begin to stray, notice them and then return back to seeing your flame with your mind's eye. Embody the flame. Let it pour from you and seep into the sand at your feet. Let it cover the ocean of your soul and shed light on your shadows. Let it allow ease to wash over you, allowing violet light to fill you with cosmic love. Hold this visualization for at least 11 minutes. It is recommended to do this first thing in the morning, especially for astral travelers. And when you are done, gently ask the Holy Ones to return back to the love and light with Spirit until you call upon them again. Ask for a physical sign that they have left. If believing is seeing, and seeing is believing, can we believe anything we set our mind's eye to? Our mind is one with the cosmic mind. We play this game of separation from self and other, from self and spirit, and we find ourselves in 3D rat races of attachment to stuff and worry over that stuff. And the more we worry about our stuff, the more stress we suffer through. And the more stress we suffer through, the more we worry about our stuff. By adopting a belief, everything is energy, and energy is light, we are able to rise up from the darkness of suffering and move into the light of enlightenment. Our crown chakra is the lock, and the key is our thoughts. So unlock your own Pandora's box and gain more longevity. Worry takes us out of now, and Zen is now. So let go for the worries of when. They no longer serve you. What does serve you is love and light, so absorb it. Drink in the elixir, because you are it. And when we realize we are it, we own our ability to manifest realities. And if we can manifest our realities, we can manifest longevity, right? If telomeres shorten, can they be lengthened? Well, we won't know unless we try.
Thank you, Shamantha Elmore, for an enlightening presentation. And our most honorable gratitude goes out to you, each of you who participated today. We are so blessed to share these powerful tools and techniques with you from St. Paul's Free University. Now remember, if you would like to enroll in our Immortality Life Extension Masterclass at St. Paul's Free University, or any other course of study that will help you continue this process, setting you free from the aging process that plagues your family and peers, please check us out online at stpaulsfreeuniversity.com. Or you can contact any of our presenters here today. Daniel Mark Schwartz can tell you how to receive your certification and continuing education units and credits for attending this event today. Daniel?
Absolutely, Dave. And I'd like to take a moment to congratulate each and every one of you that have made it all the way through this course. For a limited time, St. Paul's Free University is offering a free printed certificate mailed to your door to acknowledge what you've learned today. This personal life extension certificate is one of a kind and is a great addition not only to your personal set of skills, but to your professional repertoire as a healer or life coach. To receive this certificate, you will need to apply on stpaulsfreeuniversity.com/PLE. That's Personal Life Extension. Go to the page, give us all the information, including your name, the address where we should mail it to, and a bit of your contact information, and we'll get that out to you right away.
Thank you, Daniel. And also, we want to let you know that we at St. Paul's Free University are on the lookout for new instructors who are passionate and have a story to tell, and are on a life path to a fulfilling purpose and enlightenment. If that sounds like you, and you've been looking for a platform to take your mission to the world, then St. Paul's Free University might just be a good match for you. If you really think you might be a good match, then by all means, reach out to us online at stpaulsfreeuniversity.com or contact any of our presenters that you've met in today's program. Again, from all of us here at St. Paul's Free University, thank you for attending, and God bless you as you prepare for a new lease on your longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life ahead.